Life is a journey, not a destination. It is about how we live, not what we achieve.
I thought time would slow down, that I still had chances later.
What surprised me most wasn't regret, it was relief. Somewhere along the way, I stopped needing to prove anything. I stopped measuring myself by comparison. And in that space, I found something I hadn't expected: peace. Not the kind you read about or see in movies. The real kind. The kind that comes from acceptance. My family didn't need me to be impressive. They needed me to be there. And when I finally understood that it was like a weight I didn't know I was carrying just fell away, I started listening more than talking, asking questions instead of giving advice, laughing without feeling like I needed a reason. Friendships changed too. The loud ones faded. The meaningful ones stayed. We don't talk about ambitions anymore. We talk about memories, about how strange it is that the days feel long but the years feel short, about who we miss, about what we're grateful for even when our bodies don't cooperate like they used to. I've thought a lot about the choices I made. Some were good, some weren't. But here's what age teaches you. Most choices aren't right or wrong in the dramatic way we imagine. They're just paths. And every path comes with its own set of losses and gifts. You stop asking what if and start asking, what did this give me? This question, was I present, helped me forgive myself for the times I was distracted, for the mistakes I didn't know were mistakes yet, for the version of me who was doing the best he could with what he understood at the time. These days, peace looks like simple things: a familiar voice on the phone, a shared meal, sitting on the porch as the neighborhood quiets down, knowing that I don't have to rush anymore, knowing that the people who matter know I love them because I finally say it without hesitation. If there's one thing I'd pass on, it's this: don't wait for life to slow you down before you start paying attention. Presence isn't something you find at the end. It's something you practice along the way. I didn't learn that early, but I learned it in time to make the rest of my days feel whole. And at 81, that feels like more than enough. I'm still thinking about that question, even now. It doesn't stop working on you once you hear it. It keeps unfolding like a long road you didn't realize you were already walking. Being present isn't a switch you flip. It's something you learn in layers, usually after you've already lived through the moments you wish you'd handled differently. At my age, memory becomes selective in a strange way. I don't always remember names right away or what I walked into a room to get, but I remember feelings with sharp clarity. I remember the tension in my shoulders when I came home from work and sat at the table without really sitting there. I remember nodding while my wife talked, already thinking about tomorrow. I remember my kids' voices changing as they grew up, and how I barely noticed it happening in real time. Back then, I told myself I was doing what needed to be done. I wasn't wrong, exactly. Responsibility matters. Providing matters. But I confused duty with distance. I thought seriousness was the same thing as strength. I didn't realize how much warmth I was withholding, not because I didn't care, but because I thought caring was implied. When you're young, you believe love is understood without being expressed. When you're old, you realize how fragile that assumption is. As the years passed, life began trimming things away, not all at once, slowly. First, the long workdays ended, then the urgency, then the sense that everything depended on me. And with each thing that fell away, I felt lighter and sadder at the same time. Lighter because the pressure eased. Sadder because I wondered why I needed so much pressure to feel useful. I started noticing how quiet the house could get, how silence has different textures. There's the comfortable silence between people who know each other well, and then there's the hollow silence that echoes with everything you didn't say. I sat with both. I had to. What surprised me was how forgiving people can be when you finally show up honestly. When I started saying things like, I should have listened more, or I didn't understand that back then, nobody pushed me away. They leaned in. It turns out vulnerability doesn't weaken your place in people's lives, it deepens it. I also realized how much energy I spent worrying about how I was perceived. Even in my 40s and 50s, I was still trying to live up to some invisible standard. A good man, a strong man, a reliable man. All fine goals, but I wrapped them so tightly around myself that I forgot to ask whether I was a happy man or a kind one. Now, happiness looks different. It's quieter. It doesn't announce itself. It arrives in small, ordinary moments and leaves just as gently. A call from an old friend, a shared joke that doesn't need explaining, the feeling of being known even in your limitations. My body reminds me daily that time has done its work. I move slower. I repeat myself sometimes. I need help more than I used to. That used to embarrass me. Now I see it as an invitation. Letting people help is a way of letting them love you. I wish I had understood that sooner. I've made peace with the fact that I didn't live perfectly. Nobody does. But I've also made peace with the fact that meaning isn't something you earn by getting everything right. It's something you discover when you stop running from yourself. That question, was I present, didn't condemn me. It clarified me. It showed me where I was asleep and where I was awake. And once you see that difference, you start choosing differently, even late in the game. These days, I take my time with conversations. I don't rush to the end. I don't interrupt as much. I let stories wander. I let emotions sit without trying to fix them. I've learned that being present isn't about saying the perfect thing. It's about staying. If I could speak to my younger self, I wouldn't lecture him. I'd just ask him that same question earlier and let it do its work. Because the sooner you ask it, the more life you get to live awake. At 81, I don't feel like I've reached some final wisdom. I just feel clearer, calmer, more honest about what matters and what doesn't. And that clarity, that quiet peace, feels like the real reward for paying attention at last. There's another thing that happens when you get this old, something nobody really warns you about. Time stops feeling like a straight line and starts feeling like a room you're standing in, with doors on every wall. Some days you open a door and you're 20 again, full of plans and impatience. Other days you open one and you're right back in a hospital hallway or at a kitchen sink late at night, wondering how things got so heavy so quietly. I've learned not to fight those moments anymore. I used to push them away, distract myself, turn on the television, pick up the newspaper, anything to keep from sitting with the weight of memory. But memory, I've found, isn't the enemy. Regret is painful, yes, but it's also a teacher. It points to what mattered. You don't regret the unimportant things. You regret the moments where love was available and you didn't fully step into it. As I slow down physically, my inner life has grown louder. Thoughts linger longer. Feelings don't rush past anymore. When I sit with my coffee in the morning, I'm not planning the day the way I used to. I'm noticing the light coming through the window. I'm noticing how my hands look older than I feel. I'm noticing how even ordinary mornings are something I won't have forever. That awareness changes how you treat people. You stop assuming there will always be another chance to call, another holiday, another conversation. You start speaking with more care, not because you're afraid, but because you finally understand the value of moments that don't announce themselves as important until they're gone. I've also realized how much of life is about forgiveness, and not just forgiving others. Forgiving yourself takes real work. It means looking at the man you were with honest eyes and saying you did the best you could with what you knew at the time. That doesn't erase mistakes, but it softens them. It turns shame into understanding. When my family sits around me now, I don't feel the need to lead the conversation. I listen. I ask questions. I let them see me as I am, not as the version of myself I once thought I had to maintain. And strangely enough, that's when I feel most respected. Authority fades with age, but authenticity doesn't. I think a lot of people are afraid of getting old because they associate it with loss. And yes, you lose things. Strength, speed, certainty. But you also gain something rare, perspective without urgency. You stop needing to prove anything. You stop comparing your life to others. You start measuring your days by how honest they feel rather than how productive they look. If there's any wisdom I can pass on, it's this. Don't wait for life to slow you down before you start paying attention. Stillness doesn't mean the end is near. It means you finally have space to see clearly. And clarity, even when it comes late, is a gift. I don't know how many years I have left. That used to scare me. Now it simply focuses me. I try to leave each interaction a little lighter than I found it. I try to say what needs to be said while I still can. And when the day ends, I ask myself not what I accomplished, but whether I was kind, whether I was present, whether I noticed the people who shared the day with me. That question still guides me, quietly, patiently, and I think it always will. I'm 81 now, and it's strange how a single question can follow you through decades without you noticing it's there. I didn't hear it clearly until late in life, but once I did, it changed how I see almost everything that came before. The question was simple, almost embarrassingly so. Was I actually present for the life I was building, or was I just passing through it on my way to something else? For most of my years, I thought life was about momentum. You keep moving, keep working, keep providing. That's what I was taught. You don't stop to analyze too much because analysis feels like hesitation and hesitation feels like weakness. So I kept my head down. I built a career. I paid the bills. I showed up physically, even when I wasn't always there mentally. I told myself that was enough. It wasn't until I slowed down, really slowed down, that I started seeing the shape of my life more clearly. Retirement didn't come with fireworks or clarity. It came with silence. And in that silence, memories started lining up in ways they never had before. Not as highlights or achievements, but as moments, ordinary ones, dinners, car rides, conversations I half listened to, arguments I thought were trivial at the time. That question kept resurfacing. Was I present? I realized how often I treated time like an unlimited resource. I assumed there would always be another holiday, another weekend, another chance to call someone back. But time doesn't announce when it's running out. It just quietly becomes smaller. One day you're the one driving everyone around. The next, you're asking if someone can pick you up.